In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a quality score dashboard on Google Sheets from scratch. So, quality score, as you would know, is a very important part of keyword analysis. An entire account's performance may be significantly impacted by the quality score. So, the quality score, of course, is determined by several factors, and I'm not going into the factors of a quality score, but I'm going to show you how you can visualize quality score distribution across different keywords in an account. So what you see in front of you here is the final output. This is how the simple dashboard is going to look like, and this is going to have the x-axis with the different quality scores, individual discrete values of the quality scores ranging from 1 to 10, of course, which are the valid values that the quality score can take. And then in the y-axis you have the different percentages ranging from 0 to 100 or 80%. So in this case, we are looking at several aggregations for the quality score. So these aggregations are share of conversions, share of cost. If I just look at the drop down menu here, share of conversion value and share of clicks. So this can be any number of aggregations that you decide to choose. It can be entirely up to you. I'm going to show you the method and you can just replicate it to include any other kind of aggregation that you want. For instance, you can include impressions. Okay, so what this means, therefore, so let's first read what this chart is doing. So this is telling you that for instance, if I look at this 6, so what percentage of keywords in the entire account is having a share of conversion close to say 18%, and the share of cost, that is the spend across the keywords having a quality score 6. What is the share of share of cost? What percent is the share of cost corresponding to keywords having a quality score 6, and what percentage of keywords having a quality score 6 has this particular has a certain share of conversion. So this is what basically this particular visualization is showing, and the primary dimension is the one which is in blue, and the secondary one is in red. And as you can see, if I just change it here, so suppose I show instead of conversion value in the primary dimension, you'll see that the labels also change and the chart is also changing. I can change it to clicks and then it changes again. So for instance, if I look at a very useful one, which is conversions and conversion value, this gives us something which really should be the case, right? The keywords with the higher quality score have the highest number of have the highest number of conversions as well as the highest revenue or conversion value associated with them. So the thickest concentration, rightly so, is for the quality scores ranging from 9 to 10. So if I look at the left side now of the output, you'll see that there's this is called a scorecard or a KPI chart, and this is giving you an average quality score across the account, and this is basically calculated in a certain way, which I'll just show you in a second. This is simply the average actually of the quality scores across all keywords. Now under it is actually a certain kind of weightage. Now average can be of two types. One is the simple straightforward average, where you just take the sum of all the values of that particular metric and divide it by the number of values or the number of times it is occurred. So that gives you the average quality score, for instance, divided by the number of keywords for which you are calculating the quality score. And on the top, in the numerator, you just have the values of the sum of the values of the individual quality scores. But you can also do a weighted average, which means that you take the sum of products of one particular metric by which you are weighting. For instance, in this case, it's clicks, and then also the quality score, and then divide it by the sum of that particular metric over which you're doing the weighting. So when weighted by clicks, the average quality score comes out to be 8.27. This would change if a different metric would have been used for weighting. For instance, you could have weighted it over conversions. So what this is doing, let's try and understand what we're doing here. We are trying to understand the impact of certain metrics on quality score and vice versa as well. So quality score, of course, is important, but we also have to see it in tandem with other metrics like clicks and impressions. And of course, the outcome variables like conversions and conversion value. So that just is really what this output is doing. It's a very simple chart. We also get some totals here, keywords with impressions, clicks, cost, conversions, and conversion value. So these are the totals that are basically getting calculated and pulled from the backend. And then you also have the opportunity to select. As you can see, this is for a very a major consumer electronics brand that this data has been populated, and the visualization has been done for. And this is actually a real case for which we have created the dashboard. So this is, for instance, as you can see, the name of the account, and then you have also the option to select the different campaigns and the ad groups. So in this case, it's actually across the entire account. So this data, this average quality score, and the data that you see here, this aggregation of quality score of keywords by certain metrics or certain dimensions rather, is actually for the entire account. Now let me show you what's going on behind the scenes so that you actually get a better idea of how to do this from scratch. So if I just jump into this sheet, and this is the one which is working behind this particular chart here from this section. I'll discuss the left hand side later, but this is the most active section, right? So how do you, so first of all, how do you go about creating it? But first of all, you understand that this is simply a column chart, right? I mean, in terms of as far as charts go, there's nothing complicated about it. And you just have one x-axis and one y-axis, and you can understand that in a column chart you can have a variable which can have discrete values, as is the case here with quality score, and then you also have discrete values in the y-axis for the share, for percentages essentially, and that will depend on what metrics you are choosing. So in this case, you have two metrics, one primary dimension and one secondary dimension. So they are both being since they're both going to be shares, so we're going to have them in the form of percentages. We're also going to show you, I'm going to show you quickly what I'm going to show you shortly what what these actually mean, how you're going to calculate share of conversion, share of conversion value, share of cost. You might have already guessed, but I'll show you anyway. So if I just edit the chart, you'll see that this is obviously pulling from a certain sheet, which is basically this sheet one which I just showed, and you are aggregating it. As I said, this is an aggregated representation for the quality score, and the series are the couple of series here, the share of conversions and the share of conversion value. So that's pretty much what's going on behind this chart, simple column chart. But what's more interesting is really the drop-down menus here, and I'm going to show you how this is really working. So this is the final version of the data that's actually working behind the chart. And if I were to show you the raw data from which this was actually calculated, this is the one. So this is where I have dumped the entire raw data from the account, and you'll see that it consists of the number of keywords, and then you also have quality score and corresponding number of keywords. So then you can sum up the keywords. For instance, this will come up to be 421, and then at the end of each of these columns, say for instance keywords, number of keywords, you have impressions, clicks, cost, conversions, conversion value. So at the bottom you obviously have the summations or the totals, and then you also have another one which is essentially the the weighted quality score with respect to that particular metric, and I'm going to show you in a second how we actually did that calculation. So this is where the actual data is coming from. So for instance, the share of keywords is nothing but the number of keywords for corresponding to this particular quality score, and then divided by the the total number of keywords. So that's essentially how the share of keywords is arrived at. Similarly, share of impressions, share of clicks, share of cost can be arrived at. So this particular instance that I'm talking about here, this particular sheet, this particular visualization, this only has 4 aggregations, as you can see, but you will see that there are plenty more that you can do. Impressions and other kinds of aggregations can be done as well. Not plenty, but quite a few more. So yeah, so let's just now go into the back end. So that's what I just showed you. So for each of the different quality scores, you can have different aggregation values. So these have actually been pulled from a calculation that's already been done in the back end using the raw data. So I'm not obviously showing the very simple calculations that I just talked about. I'm going to talk about the weighted average separately, but you obviously do understand the share of keywords. Let me actually show you one calculation and you will understand. So if I just sum of all of these, take the sum of all of these keywords, well, we already have that. So we have 421 here. So if you just take 5 of 421, you're going to get 1.19%. So that's essentially how the share of each of these individual cell values is calculated. So it's just the individual cell value over the sum of that entire column. So once we have that, we have got all of these aggregations and their individual values here, and then we include a column called line, and you'll see in a second why that is being done. So I'm coming to these. You'll see that this is a repetition, but there's a reason why, and it's also in orange, and that's because this is the one which is actively representing the data here, essentially. So what is appearing here when you select it from these? So for instance, you see that there's conversions and conversion value here. So you'll see that there's also conversions and conversion value here. If I were to select costs here instead of conversions, obviously the chart changed, and that's because the data selection changed, and the data selection is actually coming from here. So there you go. So how is that happening? I'll just come to this section now. So this is what is doing this neat little trick for the drop down. So you have this chosen values, and then you have the primary and secondary. So you just select the value from the cell here. That's all you have to do. You just have to click on this cell here. So this particular thing, by the way, was created by the simple thing called drop down. So that's how you do it. So if I just click here, click drop down, you can actually enter all the options. You can enter the options like share of cost, and then you can enter share of conversions, and suppose you just have these two, and there you go, you have these two, right? You can also actually edit and include, for instance, in this case, you see there's dashed ones, which basically means that all of them, everything. Okay, so if I see that, the drop down, you'll see that this one as well. So so there you go. So the chosen values in this case is share of cost and share of conversion value, because this cell is just these cells here is just selecting the cell value from these two cells, really. So this particular cell is F21, so you'll see that this has F21 in it. Okay, so that's what it is doing. And once these have been chosen, you already have the available columns, of course, and you then have these two column names, and you see that this column name is actually equal to this one. Okay, so this is basically dynamically pulling whatever is coming from this particular drop down menu here, and this is for the secondary dimension. And once that is done, then you have to apply the HLookup. Okay, so in my LinkedIn post where I shared the teaser to this particular video, I had talked about a couple of formula, and one of these is HLookup. It's not very often that we use HLookup, we use VLOOKUP more, but I'll just quickly explain what it is doing, because this is actually allowing this entire thing to work. So HLookup works by first of all selecting the name of this particular column, and then it is trying to find it. So if I just double click it, so if whenever you're trying to understand any Google Sheets formula or Excel formula, you just should just go to the cell and double click it, and then get a very good intuition about what's really going on, unless it's a very big formula. For instance, this is not a very big formula, but sometimes it is, especially nested if formulas and stuff like that, they tend to be really big. Then you have to obviously pay more attention to it, but generally speaking, just double clicking and going through what the formula is really doing, just go through it step by step, you should be able to figure out what's going on. So without even knowing too much about HLookup, you would be able to understand that it's actually selecting this column name, and it's trying to find the column name from this particular selected section here, between, as you can see, C3 and F13, which is this. So this entire section here, you can also have a name table range, by the way, but yeah, I mean, this is essentially the range of cells from where it's trying to find the value of this particular column, and then that then you actually see the utility of this column line. Then it's taking the value of line 1, and then it's trying to search the corresponding value from this particular column. Once it's been able to find the column name, then it's trying to find the value. So there you go. I mean, once this has been done, and of course false is essentially whether or not this is going to be just a partial match, or rather in this case whether or not it's going to be sorted. So that's why it's obviously not sorted. It could be in any order, and that's why it's false. So so there you go. I mean, you just select it. As you can see, once you've done that, you see that this is exactly the that particular column. Oops, that's actually getting selected here. Similarly, for this one, you just select this particular column name. Between these two, the only thing that differs, as you can see, is the value of this particular column name. And as you can see, once the HLookup has been applied, it's actually taking the entire value of all the cells of this entire column. So that is essentially how you can make this sort of a drop-down menu work. This is a pretty neat little technique, and I think it's going to be very useful for you, whatever kind of dashboard you're trying to create from scratch manually. Now, if I come to the left-hand side of the thing here, this is, like I said, the average quality score. I already said, this can be calculated easily by, by taking the average in whatever format that you want to take. So one of the best ways of doing it is by taking the taking the weighted average over clicks, because then you try to understand okay, how many clicks actually occurred with keywords of a certain quality score. So the way this is working is actually through the formula called sum of products. So I'll just show you from an example here. So this particular formula has actually, I mean, this particular value has actually come through something called sum of product. And so I have to choose an array here, right? So the first array is this one, and then I can choose another array which is going to be this one, and I have to choose the clicks here, for instance. Just a second. So I'll choose all the quality scores here, and then I will choose all the clicks here, and then I will just divide it by the sum of clicks. And there you go. That's what you get. So this is the weighted quality score formula when the metric, the weighting metric is clicks. So I hope you understand the essence of what we are doing here. We're trying to understand the distribution of quality score and the average of quality score rather, with respect to clicks. Okay, so that's essentially what we're trying to understand. It's a useful way of looking at average or mean. And if you just want the average of quality score without any kind of weightage, then you can use the sum product to just the quality scores and number of keywords with respect to each quality score, and then sort of divide by the sum of all the keywords. So that's it. So the average quality score, as you can see, comes out to be only 6.36, which is not great. So there's obviously some work that needs to be done in this account. But there are certain actually, there are actually some reasons why the quality score is poor, because a lot of the keywords are actually fairly new in the account, and therefore they are more likely to improve over time. So, but that's a different story. We're not talking about optimization here. You can obviously use the information in multiple ways, and you obviously have to deep dive into the account and see what's going on. But yeah, that's how you calculate the average quality score as well as the weighted value of it. So then you obviously can pull the data from here. All the totals can be calculated from here very easily. As you can see, all the totals are here, so you can just directly pull it into this section here. And you can also similarly, I don't actually have I haven't created it again for this particular video. I haven't created this particular section where the filtering for the campaign and ad group is done, but the filtering for campaign and ad group can actually be done in a very similar way, um, you know uh, uh, similar to the one which I just showed for the aggregate metrics, or the aggregations rather, for quality score. So you can have the available range of campaigns, and then you can just have the chosen values here, and based on that you can have the selection of the data once these campaigns are chosen. So it's essentially going to be a very similar process, and based on that you can actually filter this entire visualization. But I hope this was clear. You can have very useful way of this is a very useful way of filtering data, and you can look at this from the perspective of how to actually approach the optimization within the account. So obviously search campaigns are still important, even though performance max is really dominating. Especially if you're in e-commerce, you would have seen that performance max campaigns tend to really undermine search campaigns in some cases. But if you have a really powerful search campaign, especially with either exact match, or if there's a really strong case for running even with broad match, and the search campaigns can make inroads depending on the nature of the industry and the niche. For instance, in this case, it's definitely making a lot of sense. Then by all means you have to do quality score analysis, because quality score is what is going to determine the outcome to a large extent of the performance of the search campaigns. So once again, I'm not going into the details of what quality score is. It obviously has a number of constituent factors, like page relevance, and ad relevance, all of that. So you have to look into the individual factors that will affect quality score. So once you have the average quality score, or you can also look at campaign wise quality score, and you can look at the aggregations, then you would understand, okay, so what's really going on in the account, and how many keywords are within what kind of quality score range, and in each of the campaigns and ad groups, and accordingly you can take your optimization. So hope this was useful. I'm pretty sure it will be. You really need to apply this. This, by the way, is the raw data. So this is where all of this was taken, and the analysis was actually done here. So there are some other things that can be done as well. You can have a start date and an end date, and you can manipulate these, and essentially you can really add some other elements to the dashboard, so you can optimize them, or rather you can tweak around and play around with this dashboard in any way you want. But the fundamentals I've explained. So hope this was useful, and do let me know in the comments whether or not you have been able to apply it, and whether you look forward to doing this for any of your accounts. And in case you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So do like, share, and subscribe as always. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.